Well, hello, it's good of you to join us again today. We've been talking about worship, and we've agreed that all of our life should be an act of worship. It's that important. That was why we were created, to glorify God, to give him the honour that he is due. Now, the Bible tells us that we are to worship in spirit and in truth. In spirit, because we're spiritual beings created by God, who is spirit. It is therefore through our spirit that we are able to connect with God. And so we worship in spirit. John 4:23-24 tells us that true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. We must worship in spirit and in truth. But what does it mean to worship in truth? Well, the Bible is the Word of God. It is without error. It is the truth. Concerning worship, the Psalms, which were the worship book of the early church, and other passages in the Bible instruct us in the truth, and that includes how we are to worship and who we are to worship. You see, to worship God, we need to know the one that we are worshipping. God reveals himself to us in his word, and by studying his word, we can know him. Worship that is not in keeping with his word is not acceptable to God. Worship is not about us, it is about him. It's not about worshipping in our own way, but according to his plan, as laid down in his word, which is truth. I want to look now at what happens when we worship. For while God has clearly called us to be worshippers, there are great benefits when we do genuinely worship the Lord. The first thing to say is that we will delight in God. Psalm 16 and verse 11 tells us, God will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. When we worship him, it will give us a foretaste of the atmosphere of heaven. He will give us an inner peace and joy. When David worshipped before Saul with the harp, and 1 Samuel 16:23 tells us, relief would come to Saul, he would feel better. Friends, we won't just feel better. The Lord will give us fullness of joy as we enter into his presence. Fullness of joy is found in knowing God and delighting in the excellence of his character. To be in his presence, to enjoy fellowship with him, is a greater blessing than anything that can be imagined. As Philippians 4:4 says, rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. And Peter says in 1 Peter 1 and verse 8, you believe in him and are filled with an inexpressible and glorious joy. When we realize that God created us to glorify him, and when we start to act in ways that fulfill that purpose, then we begin to experience an intensity of joy in the Lord that we've never known before. And that is far greater than anything the world can offer us. Thank you.